Good afternoon, Sheddies. So welcome, my name's Manda and welcome to the Head Shed Retreat. So in this video today, what I'm going to help you with is a demonstration for a beginner, complete beginner, of what to expect in a yang kind of yoga. So when we say we're going to yoga, we all believe that we're going to make some shapes. However, firstly, we're actually going to asana, not to yoga. And what that means is you can meditate, you can behave in a certain way through your life, you can do breathing exercises, and that all comes under the word yoga without doing anything physical. Asana, the word asana, is the word for the postures. So firstly, when we go to yoga, we're actually going to asana, but we all know yoga as we're going to yoga. Now then, there are many, many kinds of yoga. You may have heard of Bikram yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga. I call some yogas a smooth flow or a dynamic flow. You may go to Hatha yoga. So it can be really confusing, that it's like, well, what kind of yoga am I going to? What do I expect? Now, all of those that I've just mentioned all come under the term yang yoga. So we've all heard of yin and yang. There's black, there's white, there's hot, there's cold. Okay. So yang yoga covers all those kinds of yoga, and all those kinds of yoga are very physical in nature. Some are harder than others, but they all rely on breathing and muscle work for them to work. Okay. The other form of yoga, asana, is yin yoga, and yin is just yin. The other word that may be used for softer poses than yin may be called restorative, but they're the yin side. So today I'm going to give you a demonstration of the yang side. So what we'll do, we'll go through some sun salutations, and sun salutations, you can go anywhere in the world and see people practicing sun salutations. The Sanskrit word is Surya Namaskar A and Surya Namaskar B. We don't have to worry about that. But that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to help you to just establish a few safety points and a few things that you can do just to make things easier. Now, a mat. A rubber mat, I believe, is the best kind of mat. You want a mat that you're not going to slip. If you're just dabbling, then any mat will do. You don't even have to have a mat, although your hands will slip. So if you do get into yoga and you want to purchase a mat, my recommendation is that you buy a rubber mat. Okay, you may want to use blocks. If you use blocks, your postures will be easier. So we've often seen people sitting cross-legged, and this is very yang in nature. It's from an Indian philosophy, and we'll sit here, and for many it feels really uncomfortable. If we ever sit on a block, then instantly it makes it more comfortable. Now you can get blocks for not too much, so it's a really good thing. They look like they're just, seriously, do I really need a block? But you will use them time and time again, and as I'm demonstrating now, as soon as you sit on a block and you get your sit bones over the edge, it just feels really nice. You could meditate like this, you could start your practice like this, and you can use your blocks throughout your practice. So, you can also get a belt. I don't use a belt in all of my classes, but some classes it may feel nice to have a belt. What do you do with a yoga belt? You would maybe put it around your foot and then glide your leg in to hold the posture. So it's just something that helps us. We don't have to have it. You could just use a belt from your trousers. You don't have to buy a yoga belt. However, sometimes it's just nice to have the yoga things in the yoga pile ready for your practice. Okay, so what we're aiming to do in a yang form is to be physical. And some people will do yoga to become, to look fitter, to aesthetically look fitter. It was not created to do that. It was created to calm the disturbances of the mind and the body through asana, so that's what we call yoga. So we're aiming to be physical, to get very physical, to wear our body out so that we can sit like this and then meditate. So that is the reason. Now, during that time of our practice, over days, weeks, months or years, our body will change shape. And that is just the result of practicing yoga. Some people will practice yoga to get that. Some people practice yoga for the benefits, for the mind, body and soul, and in return, you just get a fitter body. So, let's sit cross-legged. Sit on your mat. And I've always got into the habit of doing a little bit of a wiggle. And when I sit on the mat, I just sort of feel like, oh, I've arrived here on my mat. Now, my business is called the Headshed Retreat.co.uk. And the reason being, the retreat bit is your mat. I don't share my mat. I don't let anybody stand on my mat. It's my mat. I have a couple, a travel mat and a normal mat, and they're both green and they're both like this. And I can cry on this mat. I can smile on this mat. I can sweat on this mat. There's a lot of work has gone into my body and mind and spirit on this mat. So that is how I feel about it. And I'd like to pass that on to you. Also, the fact that I don't let anybody use my mat or stand on my mat means that I bring that into my everyday life about my boundaries. And it's really important. We have boundaries. You can do this, but you can't do this. You can stand around my mat, but you can't stand on my mat. So the lovely thing about yoga is it constantly teaches us things that we can transfer from the mat, off the mat, and into our lives. So I hope you're sitting now like this. Maybe it's uncomfortable. So again, this is a beginner's class, so I'm just going to talk you through it. Now, notice how high my knees are away from the floor, and yours may be lower. I've been practicing yoga for years. My knees are still off the floor, and why is this? The reason being is because in my hips, I'm not very externally rotated, okay? And that is, I can't do anything about that. Maybe over years, maybe over the next 10 years, I will sink a little further, but probably not very far. So you may be more open than this. Maybe your knees are sticking up like this, okay? It's not all because you're not very open or stiff. Sometimes it's literally because of this bone. At the end of it, there's a bulb, and it goes into your pelvis, and it doesn't like this shape. So it sits where it's comfortable, with your knees off the floor. Okay. So yoga's about acceptance, and it's about being in this moment. We also want to connect with our breath. So we're going to just be here and start to breathe through our nose. Keep your mouth closed and just breathe in and out. In fact, breathe in and then open your mouth and then breathe out and then just let it all go. So breathe in. Nice. And then again, breathe in. Maybe that one was longer, and then do it again. Breathe in. Nice. I'm going to take the left hand now. I'm going to take it all the way over to the other side. Breathe in. Inhale. Lift up through your spine. Take the other hand to the back. And then as you exhale, just do a little twist here. So we're not forcing anything. We're just twisting our way around. Feeling our way. And let's come to the other side. So inhale here. Inhale. And then exhale out. Nice. Inhale again. No forcing, we're just opening up through the back, the shoulders, nice little twist, feels good. Nice. Let's come back to centre. Let's swizzle round on your mat. Take your legs forwards, bring your chin down towards your chest, and then come all the way down onto your mat. Nice. And just really arrive here again. Really feel your body and your body weight on your mat. Let's inhale now. Inhale, raise your arms up. And then as you exhale, take your arms all the way to the back. And just notice this back bend. You've got a slight little back bend here. And then again, inhale all the way up. And then exhale and down. We'll do that again. So inhale. And then exhale. back to the top now, so stay with me, inhale, especially if you're one of these people that is used to a lot of physicality and it's like, oh, come on, I need the hard stuff. Yoga's not like that. Let's stretch through the feet and stretch through the hands. We can be very, very physical and very hard in yoga, but we don't do that straight away. We're just going to open up through the body. So I'm pressing all the way from my extremities, all the way from my toes, my fingers, feels nice. I can feel the fascia stretch on the top of the body, and underneath I can feel a little back bend here. Let's bring one knee in towards the chest, so opposite for the back now, as you can feel your back pressing into the floor. And then maybe you want to just rock from side to side. So here you get a nice little massage. So that feels very, very nice. Okay, let's take the hands to the back now, back of your knees, and then just rock up and down a couple of times. See how that feels on your back. If you don't like it, just do it once. Never do what your body doesn't want to do or what you don't like. And then come all the way up. Now, sometimes in yoga classes, people tip over the knees. Be very careful with your knees now. You've got the choice that you can undo, but you can tip all the way over if it feels good. I'm going to turn around here. And then be in your tabletop. So in a cat and cow, often seen in many of my classes, place your hands down underneath your shoulders and splay through your fingers, and then press your weight onto the floor and round through your shoulders. Drop your belly and then inhale up, and see if you can pick up through your tailbone and arch through your back. And then as you exhale, round through, pick up your belly button and attach it to your spine and press all the way down with your hands. So you're making a bridge. Now drop again and inhale up. And then exhale, round. So pick up your belly button and attach it to your spine. Now I've got my feet down. You may have your feet like this. So just check which feels better for you. Drop your belly again, inhale. And exhale. Then one more time, inhale here. And exhale. Let's press back. Now this is called a child's pose, when you press all the way back. And you have the option here to get a block and bring your forehead down onto the block. So when you first start yoga, quite a lot of the time you can't bring your head down to the floor yet. So using a block is just a really nice thing to do. So you're stretching and elongating right across your back here. And the fascia, your connective tissue, is stretching all the way from your forehead, over your head, and down your back, around your pelvis, around your bottom. So it feels very, very nice. Let's lift back up to a tabletop now. Now take your hands slightly forwards, and then pull in through your belly button, pick everything up, and then just lean forwards. Okay, so try and find this shape. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. Now this is where you want to learn to bend your elbows backwards. So you're going to brush your ribs. So pull it all in, try to be nice and flat. Bend through your elbows and just try and go backwards. Nice. So you're working the backs of your arms here. And then from here, pretend you've got glue on your hands. Tuck your elbows in and pull your hands back and maybe lift up through your chest. Take a breath here. So it should feel good on the front body now. You're not lifting ever so high. You can feel this really open up through your chest. Let's bring your hands slightly back, elbows in, press all the way back to your child's pose here. Again, you might need your block if you can't bring your forehead down to the floor. And if you sometimes, as a beginner, you're right up here, you can't bend further back, don't judge yourself. Even if you're here, that's absolutely fine. Maybe in time you will open up, maybe you won't. We just accept where we are. Whatever we're doing is a good thing. Okay, come back up to tabletop, tuck your toes, and then come into your downward facing dog. So now known as Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Nice. So here, we're opening up through the fingers, we're pressing on the floor. We're bending through the knees and then press your body back. So you're looking for a nice straight line between your hands and all the way back to your pelvis. And you can feel this across your shoulders, down your back, feels really nice.
Feet are hip distance apart. So imagine you could almost get a football between your feet. Nice. Now, let's tip forwards again and see if you can bring your shoulders over your wrists. So you're in a plank now. Bring your knees down and then untuck these toes and then press back again into a child's pose. And this should feel very, very nice. And again, you might be up here. Remember, you might be up here, and don't judge yourself if you are. Absolutely fine. Gosh, that's nice. Okay, come all the way up to a tabletop. Tuck your toes again, downward facing dog. So don't worry about your heels coming down. Bend through your knees, press on your hands, push back. Feels good. Let's walk forwards now. So walk forwards as much as you can. Put your hands on your waist and then come all the way up. Nice, beautiful. Now, one of my biggest tips for beginners is if we put our feet together and watch my knees, and I bend my knees, my knees come out like that, my knees come out. And if we do that lots and lots of times, then we could get into trouble with our knee joints. So a better way for me is to bring my toe mounds together and then do this. And can you see they're going in line with my feet? So this is what I'd like to look at. See what your body does. You want to be tracking your second toe or thereabouts. Your knees want to feel nice and fluid as you bend them. So for you, is it your toes together with a gap at your heels, or is it your feet together? Or maybe you prefer to be slightly apart. So find the place that you can bend your knees and your knees are nice and happy. From here, let's inhale all the way up. And then exhale down. Bring your hands onto your shins here. Inhale and flatten your back. See if you can flatten your back and even look forwards. And as you look forwards, you'll notice a bend through your neck. This is a good thing. This is creating a new shape for your body. Okay, bend your knees and then put your hands on the floor. Now, what I notice with a lot of beginners is they do this. They keep their hands all the way up here. Please try not to do that. You're putting too much pressure on your fingers. Instead, keep bending your knees until you can put your hands on the floor. And then take one leg back. And as you take one leg back, keep pressing on the floor here. And then you want to try and make yourself as light as a feather. And then pick that front leg and take that front leg and join it. And then bring your knees down, untuck your toes. And then we're back where we were. We're going to try and bend the elbows backwards and brush through the ribs. So come backwards. Nice. From here, as you inhale, pull your hands back and then lift up the front body. Nice. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders more, elbows come in and press all the way back to your child's pose. Maybe your head comes on the floor, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you don't bend your knees that much. It really doesn't matter. Feel good? Okay. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Feels good. Holding here. Bending through your knees as much as you want. Pressing backwards and maybe lifting up through your pelvis. Feels nice. So some big, deep breaths here. Now I'm going to walk forwards on the mat. So I'm going to look forward, so notice that bend through your neck again. And then walk forward, so lots of little steps forwards. And then inhale to lengthen. You can bring your hands back onto your shins. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, let's raise the arms as we lift all the way up. Just notice how you power through your back to do that. And then bring your hands down by your sides as you exhale down. And this is where we're coming into our flowing of Sun Salutations. So let's lift all the way up. So lift. Feel that fascia through your body. So really beautiful feeling. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down towards your shins. Down. Let's inhale to lengthen here. So lengthen as much as you can through your back and press your shoulders away from your ears. Look forwards. Notice that bend through your neck. And then bend through your knees and put your hands on the floor. So again, I see people doing this a lot. Do this. Put your hands all the way down This time, change legs. So it doesn't really matter, but it's good to be able to do one leg and then the other leg. Okay, then pick up, press into your hands, join, bring your knees down, untuck, beginner's yoga, come down. Nice. Pull your hands back on the mat, inhale up. Nice, exhale down. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders and press back into your child's pose. Stay here for a moment and just notice here how you feel along your back body. Feels very, very nice. Now some people can't straighten their arms. It's because they've got problems in their shoulders, rotator cuff, they've had an injury. If this doesn't feel good, then you can always bend your arms. You don't have to do the whole thing. The main thing is that you enjoy the feelings that you have during your practice. And that's what will help you come back to your mat. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Nice. Nice, let's look forward. And then lots of little steps forwards again. Inhale to lengthen, maybe hands on your shins. Exhale to fold. And then inhale, lift all the way up. And really feel this again in the back body. Keep that length through your body as you bring your hands back down. Whew, how nice does that feel? You can actually feel this all the way along your shoulders and your back. It feels beautiful. Let's go again. So inhale all the way up. You get in the hang of it. Exhale, bend forwards. Take your hands onto your shins. Inhale to lengthen. Notice the bend in your neck. So shoulders away from the ears. Put your hands on the floor, flat. Decide which leg you want to take back. Join it with the other one. You're in a temporary plank. Bring your knees down, untuck your toes, and then come down to your mat. Bring your hands, keep your hands on your mat, pull them backwards and push your body forwards and your chest forwards. Slide your hands back slightly and then press all the way back to your child's pose again. Breathing here. Maybe one more deep breath. Come back up to your tabletop. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Nice. Soften through your knees maybe. So bend through your knees as much as you want. Try and press on those hands and just feel what you feel. Doesn't really matter where your head goes. Just be happy with where you are. Now this is a hard pose when we start practicing yoga, but after days, weeks or months, it becomes a resting pose. It becomes a place where you just gather yourself again, physically. Nice. Let's look forwards and then step forwards again. Inhale to lengthen, hands on your shins. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach, 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 reach. And then exhale, bring your hands down by your sides. Oh, how nice does that feel? So we're going to do this one more time. So let's do it again. So inhale all the way up. Exhale down on your shins. Inhale to lengthen. Inhale now. Exhale, bend your knees. Put all of your hands on the floor. Take one leg back. Press your weight of your body onto your hands. Take the other one back. Bring your knees down. Untuck your toes. Come down to your mat. Nice. Pull your hands back now as though there's glue on your hands. And press forwards. Feels good. Slide your hands slightly back and then press all the way back to your child's pose. Get ready to tuck your toes, downward facing dog, bending through your knees as much as you want to. So you may also hear me or anyone else say walk your dog. So walking your dog is when you literally bend through your knees and walk through your dog. And it's here we want to be tracking our second toe or thereabouts. We really want to be looking after our joints, and it's certainly what I'm interested in. I'm interested in looking after my body. I'm not interested in quicker, harder, faster. I just want to be challenged and I want to look after myself, but I just don't want to bust myself up. Okay, let's look forwards and then walk forwards. And hopefully you feel the same way. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come all the way up.
and then exhale, bring your hands all the way down. Beautiful. So that was Surya Namaskar A. And we're going to go into Surya Namaskar B now. So just a little bit more complicated, but you soon get used to it. You do it so many times that you just do it and it becomes a flow, and you breathe in and out with every movement, and it's just lovely. So to do this, we come into what's called a chair pose, Utkatasana. We stick our bottom out, bend through our knees, and just check that you can see your toes. If you can't see your toes, then it means you're putting too much pressure on your knees, so you have to shift your body weight back. So we stick your bottom out, bend down, and then raise up through your arms. And this should feel really, really nice, if not difficult. Look all the way up to the ceiling, and then exhale, come all the way down, just as we did before, maybe to the shins. Inhale to lengthen, just as we did before, so shoulders away from the ears. Bend through the knees, put your hands on the floor, remember the whole of the hand goes down. Take one leg back, take the other into your plank. So I'm just going to demonstrate from here. You could bend your elbows back and come straight down on your mat. And then we could change this up as well. Take your hands at 10 to 2 and then lift all the way up. And just see how that feels on your lower back. Now it's really important that you don't grind your lower spine. And we've all got different spaces between our vertebrae. So if our spaces are very narrow, we're going to grind into our spine. So we don't want to do that over a long period of time. We can do it a couple of times, but we don't want to keep doing it. So just have a word with your lower back. How does it feel right now? Is it happy? Maybe your vertebrae are touching. If it feels uncomfortable and it's grinding, then this is the one for you. So that pull back is the one for you. So there's just a limitation of how far you can go. If you don't have anything untoward and it feels okay, you could come up into upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, and again have a word with your lower back. Nice. Let's come back to a child's pose here. Pressing all the way back. Nice. Now come up to a tabletop and then take your right leg, so this is a beginner, take the right leg, pick up your knee and bring your leg forwards. Okay, so that can feel quite uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to grab your ankle to be able to do that. And then from here, you can lift all the way up. So you're tucking your back leg and lifting all the way up. And then come down, so bring your hands down, we say through heart center. Bring your hands back onto the floor, splay your fingers, that front leg, take it to the back. It's up to you now. Maybe you want to bring your knees down, or maybe you want to just come down to the mat. And then whichever version feels good for you, upward facing dog, lift all the way up. Again, have a conversation with your lower back. Come all the way down. Press back into a child's pose. Feels nice. Come all the way back to your tabletop. This time, take the left leg, bend it, and see if you can bring it all the way forwards. Nice. Does that feel good? Did you have to hold on to your ankle? Tuck your back leg and see if you can come up. So, I brought my hands up last time, but maybe you've got the wobbles. So you can bring your hands onto your waist. And what you need to do is squeeze everything in. So we've got something called your Mula Bandha. And it's the area between the genitals and the anus. And basically, did somebody say that? So basically you have to squeeze that in. And what it does is it drills you into the floor. So feet need to be hip distance apart. I see a lot of beginners trying to be on a washing line, and I say, get on a railway line, not a washing line. And that way your feet are hip distance apart and you won't wobble. So your hands can always be on your waist in any practice. You don't have to bring your hands all the way up. We can bring the hands down through heart center. Bring your hands on the floor. Take the front leg to the back. Choose, yogi's choice. Come down, bring your knees down, untuck. Come down to your mat. Yogi's choice. Maybe you just want to lift up. Maybe you want to come to your upward facing dog. And no version is wrong. The right version is for your body. Let's come into a downward facing dog here. So bending through the knees. Big deep breaths. And again, this becomes a resting pose over time. But as a beginner, it feels very, very challenging.
Okay, let's look forwards and then step all the way forwards again. Hands come onto your shins. Inhale to lengthen, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale to fold. Now bend through your knees, shift your body weight back and then lift up into this awkward pose, chair pose or Utkatasana. Now what makes things come up to standing? What makes things really complicated in yoga is they often have 3 names for one pose. And you just get used to one and then the instructor changes it to another. So it's about just getting used to the person that you train with or practice with. Okay, let's do that again. So we stick our bottom out, we bend our knees, just take a peek at your toes, make sure that you can see your toes, and then raise up through your arms. You don't have to raise your arms, of course, you can always leave your hands on your waist. Exhale down through heart centre. Oh, my shins. Inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, bring your hands again on the floor. Take one leg back, take the other leg back. You're now in a plank. Choose, maybe you want to bend the elbows back and all the way down. Maybe you want to lift all the way up to your upward facing dog. Exhale. Come back to your child's pose. Nice. Come up, take the right leg back. Bring the knee towards the nose, take the leg forwards, tuck and lift all the way up. Hands down, on the floor. Take the leg back, come down, maybe your knees down, all the way down, and then lift up again, whichever version feels good for you. Nice. Press back to a child's pose. Come back to a tabletop, take the left leg back, bend through the knee, take the foot forwards, tuck the back leg, and then come all the way up. Maybe you're bringing your hands onto your waist. Nice. Come all the way down, take the leg to the back, choices, and come down. Nice. Maybe you chose that 10 to 2. Exhale down. Beautiful. Hands come in, child's pose. Nice. Come up, tabletop, downward facing dog. Big deep breaths now. So you should be feeling this. It feels great. Let's look forwards and then step forwards. Inhale to lengthen, hands come on your shins. Exhale to fold, bend through your knees, drive your pelvis back, lift up, maybe hands on your waist, and then come up to standing. So we're going to do this one more time, okay? So this is beginners. It's a little bit different when you get into it, but we're just going to stay with where we are. We're just enjoying. You're just getting to know me, getting to know your mat, getting to know the feel of yoga. That's all we're doing, okay? Stick that bottom out, bend through the knees, check you can see your toes. Raise up through your arms if you're going to. Take your hands down through heart centre, bring your hands onto your shins. Inhale now and lengthen, flatten your back, pull in through your belly. Bend through the knees, put the whole of your hands on the floor. Take one leg back into your plank, take the other leg back into your plank. Choose if you want to bring your knees down, come down to your mat. Choose which version you want. Maybe you want the full version, upward facing dog. And then press back into a child's pose. Nice, downward facing dog. Holding here. So we're going to give the proper version a go now. So instead of from kneeling, bringing the leg forward, we're going to try and bring the leg forward from a downward facing dog. So bending through the knee, bring the knee towards the nose, look forwards, and then bring your leg forwards. Now the first time I did this, I thought really, so an easier way, if you're not going to come to kneeling, is to hold onto your ankle and literally bring your foot forwards. Okay, from there you can lift all the way up, but yogi's choice, you can keep your hands onto your waist. Try and tuck in here, so get your bottom rib and your pelvis and just make it a little bit choop. Feels good. Take your hands down through heart centre. Hands go on your mat. Take the front leg all the way to the back and we'll have a go on the other side. So we're going to bend through the knee of the left leg. We're going to look forwards. We're going to try and bring this leg all the way to the front. So in time you can bring it forwards, but to start with you might need to just get hold of your ankle and bring it forwards. Okay, don't be put off by doing that. And then you can lift up. Remember that Manda, so squeezing everything in. Maybe you hold your hands onto your waist, or maybe you raise your arms all the way up. You should be able to feel this by now. Take your hands down through heart center, bring your hands on the floor, pick up that leg, take it all the way back. It seems to go back easier than it comes forwards. Maybe you're choosing to bring your knees down, maybe you're going to tip forwards and come down to your mat. Maybe you're going to pull the mat back as you lift up forwards, maybe sliding your hands slightly further back, and then coming into a downward facing dog. Now remember to soften these knees. If we come into a downward facing dog and we press the knees backwards, we're not going to be doing the joints too much good over time. So always try and keep a tiny bend through those knees. Feels good. Big deep breaths. Make sure your fingers are nice and splayed. Pull in everything in the mid-body. Let your head be wherever it wants to be. Now, I've got my heels quite far off here. Some people come straight down to the floor straight away, and some people don't, and it really doesn't matter. So please don't get worried about whether your heels are up or what your neighbour's doing. It really, really doesn't matter. What I do see a lot of people doing in a downward facing dog is being somewhere over here. So they're actually planking quite a lot. If you're like this, you might want to just move a little bit further, move your feet forwards, and you can feel your pelvis going into the air. A good rule of thumb, so you've got to find the dog that works for you, but a good rule of thumb is if you tip forwards and your shoulders are over your wrists, and if you tip back, that is sort of textbook downward facing dog. But if you feel like you want to bring your feet in further, of course you can. Of course you can. You can do whatever you want to do. Let's look forwards. Walk forwards. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come all the way up, with or without your arms, and exhale, come down. Now as you're stood here, and you brought your arms down, just notice how your body feels. Do you feel that your body has actually lengthened? I really hope so. Let's raise the arms up again, just make our way down to the floor. Come down, hands come on your shins. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to fold, hands come off the floor, take one back and take the other back. Just bring the knees down now and then come back up to sitting. Nice, how's that feel? So, little taster of what happens. I'm warm now, so hopefully you're warm, and it gives you an indication of what happens. You can see we're going from standing to being on the floor, to halfway, to standing, to being on the floor, to halfway. It's a physical practice, and that comes under the nature of a yang practice. There will also be a video on my website to give you a demonstration of a yin practice. So here, at the end of any practice, we will end in what's called shavasana. But we are also trying to find some peace within. So it's almost like wringing a dishcloth out. So imagine you're wetting your dishcloth, you're wringing it out, i.e. sweat, and you're wringing out all the agitation from your body. And you get to a place where you just start to feel calmer. So just by doing that, I'm sitting here now, if I just be quiet for a moment, which can be quite hard for me, but let's just be quiet together and just see how you feel, just being like this for a moment. Nice. Now I'm going to share with you one of the very last poses that you do in a traditional form of a yang kind of yoga, which is an ashtanga. Don't get wrapped up in all the names. But there's a last pose called Utpluthi. And because of my knees being up here, because my hips really don't want to open, externally rotate, I cannot come into lotus position, okay? And I have to get over that as a teacher. That may never happen. And there are thousands of teachers just like me that will not come into a lotus. So it's really important that we don't get impressed or just go, wow, you know,
is fantastic. It's not, it's just, we're just different. We just have different bodies. But if we could come into a lotus position, which I'm not asking you to, especially when you're looking at a screen, because it's the biggest yoga injury that happens to knees. So I'd much rather you just stay in this position with me. But Utpluthy is when you elevate your body. And we're going to do that, but cross-legged. And it may not happen at all, or you may just want your blocks. Just see how you go. So you can put a block on either side and take your blocks maybe slightly forwards and then pick up. So you're literally picking up your bottom off the floor and holding it. So holding, holding, holding. And then breathing. And tell me this isn't tough. Please tell me that this is really, really easy, because it really, really isn't. And the great thing about Utpluthy is that it will get rid of any energy that is left in your body. So one of the last poses in a traditional Ashtanga practice. And some say it has 100 breaths, to hold here for 100 breaths. So you really are very relaxed afterwards. Anyway, when you're ready, come all the way down. You may be able to do this without your blocks as well. So you're leaning slightly forward, you're aiming to get your bottom off the floor. And then come down. So tell me that is not physical. So that's just a demonstration really of how hard it can get, how physically hard it can get. So we're going to end this practice now in what's called Shavasana. Shavasana is called corpse pose. And if you're an A-type personality, or a red or a pitta, if any of those words resonate with you, you just want to switch off now and go get on with your day. But this is the part where we integrate the practice. So we bring the hands forwards, bring the chin down towards the chest. We're going to come down to the mat. And here, this is where we just lay and do absolutely nothing. Okay. So called Shavasana. It's known as one of the hardest poses that you can do, simply because people fidget. And in the Western world, we just want to get on and do other things. But if we can come to a place where we can actually lay for a moment and feel the physicality running through our body, then I think we're in a very, very good place. So, this tends to be a time when I'll either talk to you through relaxing through your body, or you will be left to relax. Here, we want the breathing to come back to a natural breath. We're not aiming to take deep breaths. We just want to completely and utterly relax. Now, the energy in yoga is called prana, and the prana is created through breath and movement. And it's here that you may be able to feel this prana, this energy, travelling around your body, it's whizzing around. So this prana travels around through the fascia, through the connective tissue, through the blood supply, through the whole body. Just see, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Often, I've known it being called yoga stoned. So you get stoned on yoga because it's just a fantastic feeling, and you don't get this feeling without actually doing the practice. So this is a beautiful way to end your practice. So here I'll often ask you to relax your toes and your feet and your ankles and your legs, your lower legs. Soften through your knees, soften through your upper legs, your belly. And then I might ask you to soften your thumbs, your fingers, your wrists, your elbows, your upper arms, your shoulders. Be very aware of how you're breathing. Maybe you want to swallow. And then soften through your ears, your jaw, your nose even. Relax through your eyes, your eye sockets, your eyebrows, your forehead, and the very, very top of your head.
notice, can you notice how heavy you feel all of a sudden? Feel very, very heavy and connected to the earth. Feels so, so nice. So at the end of a class, myself and most teachers will ask you to roll over onto your side. And here it's quite nice, just lay here just for a moment and maybe contemplate on how you feel, what you might do next time, what you might do differently. It's called svadhyaya, self-study. So, you know, how much lighter do you feel now than the beginning? You know, have you got a feeling of happiness and joy and satisfaction? Let's sit up. So a bit of satisfaction that we did this. We rolled the mat out and we came to our mat and we gave ourselves some time. We don't give ourselves enough time. We charge around and we don't just be. Let's just be. So maybe you want to cross your legs again. Maybe you want to sit on your block. As I say, we didn't use our belts. I don't use it all the time. I very rarely use it, but it's there if I want it. We wouldn't use it today in today's practice. So here we may be wanting to be cross-legged. Maybe you want to bring your hands onto your knees. Maybe you want to come into chin mudra, which means you bring your thumb and your finger together, turn them around and straighten your fingers, maybe straighten through your arms and find a place that feels comfortable. Maybe you want to lift your head slightly, or maybe you want to drop your head. My neck doesn't particularly like looking down. My head prefers to lift up, and my psyche prefers to lift up. It makes me feel more positive if I lift my head, but you might feel better if you put your head down, and that's yoga. That's you doing you and I'm doing me, and finding that place that's right. So just notice how you feel right now. Maybe you can see your soul smiling. You've done something for yourself. It was physical, it wasn't that long, and you feel good. And there's always somewhere to go. Let's bring your hands to heart center. This is called Anjali Mudra. And what the nice thing is about this is it separates the left from the right. So in yoga, the left is the feminine side, the introverted side. It's recognized by the moon. And the right is the sun. It's the extroverted side and the energetic side. And recognized by the sun. So it's the heat. So we've got the cool on one side, the heat on the other. We've got introversion and extroversion. We've got the female side and the male side. And then we've got the moon and we've got the sun. And within the middle, we've got balance, and that is what we're looking for. So when you hear in yoga language balance, it's not necessarily balancing, although we do a lot of balancing, but it's more about balance. We want balance in life. Namaste. Thank you. So, go and have a look at the yin practice and see which is for you. Ideally, what we want to do is have a little bit of yin and a little bit of yang, and then, my friends, we become balanced. Thank you for joining me. Toodaloo.